fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome for the first time ever on Simspeed TV to Sandown Raceway in Melbourne. Here finally on the iRacing service. And hello to you watching here for the Ozicar Formula 4 Series on Simspeed TV. We're going to rush straight into it because the drivers are just lining up in a huge field of cars here at Sandown Raceway. Cooper Allen and Dan Yeaman on the front row, only 200ths of a second separating those two. James Chastanoff, Cameron Dance on the second row. Third row is Lachlan Capel and Josh Haynes with Thomas Hinz, Alex McKellar, David Baz, Kieran Ellis. Then we go back even further to Josh Barry, Nathan Norman. Continue the names coming up on the screen. But as we said, hello to you watching here for the first time at Sandown tonight for the Ozicar Formula 4 Series. Tonight the drivers will tackle two races over 17 laps in length each. Which should mean that we'll be all over within around about 45 minutes of racing action around the brilliant all-new Sandown Raceway. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me, as I said, will be Jason Fewens. In a couple of moments' time, he'll be back in just a moment. He's just got back here now as we get ready to get the green flag as the revs slowly start to rise in this massive 47-car field. Hello to you, Jason.
Good evening, Jay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Sandown here in the Ozicar Formula 4. Going to be an absolute cracking race tonight.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and it's so strange to think that we can say that we're racing at Sandown, and we are racing at Sandown for the first time ever on SimSpeed. 17 laps. Cooper Allen gets a great launch and will lead into turn one. Throughout the field, though, it looks like it's relatively clean. The field getting into single file relatively quickly, which is great to see. Looks like it's fairly well settled.
Yeah, drivers out there at the moment just trying to find their spot on the track, find a clean bit of tarmac to get a good run. A little bit of rear contact there as we go through turn number 4, which was to be expected with a bit of congestion with such a large field here tonight. But the leaders are making their way down the back straight already into what is the fastest part of this circuit as they dip down the hill into the hard braking zone. So we expect an opportunity or two down here under brakes as the race unfolds tonight.
Top 5 have broken away a little bit as there's a little bit of a lock up there. James Chastanoff lets Cameron Dance through. The top 5 of Allen, Yeaman, Dance, Chastanoff and Capel have broken a fairly decent gap back to Josh Haynes, who's leading that secondary group. They get one lap complete, a little bit of a moment down at Springvale Road. Liam Banks is off in the kitty litter, and we're also seeing Roy Clark off the circuit back up through the S's. But comparison to last week, what a polar opposite night we've had so far. A great start. We're all the way relatively clean. Everyone's finished the first lap.
Yeah, top 3 breaking away now with a little bit of a gap back to a blinking car there in the background. Looks like he's got things under control as they make their way through. James Chastanoff putting on the pressure as well in P5. So a lot of moves being made early on. This is the best time to make up some positions in these little Formula 4 cars. Slipstream is going to be a really, really important aspect of this race coming down this back stretch. It's not exactly a straight, but it is a back stretch of the track.
It's a brilliant track as well. We see Russell Clark with Brady Baldwin tucked in right underneath the rear wing. They're battling for 25th. You'd think in a normal field of open wheelers, 25th, you're thinking, oh, you're down at the back of the field. But this is legitimately the middle of the pack. They're right locked in the middle.
Yeah, large field here tonight. It's actually increased from where we were 2 weeks ago at where we were last week, Winton. Around number 1. So numbers have grown, which is a really, really good sign of a healthy league here in Ozicar. So expect to absolutely crack a season as things unfold. But we jump on board with Cam Dance now, currently in P3. He's up one from where he started on the grid, sitting patiently at the moment while the two cars in front battle. But Dance putting on plenty of pressure as he makes his way through turn number 1 and tries to line up a move and potentially good run as he makes his way out of turn 4.
Of course, we saw 45 at Winton last week. We've got 47 this week. We've still got drivers wanting to get into the series and also other drivers that can't make it this week. Of course, the likes of Chaz Mostert, Nick Percat and Jake Kostecki, who we will see racing throughout the season later on. They're a little bit busy on the weekend, so they haven't made it home in time. So hopefully we'll see them in the coming weeks. As Dan Yeaman thinks about a little move into the S, is not able to pull it off. He has to tuck back into line. Very, very tough to make a move into the S's. Got to be very committed and get a great run out of turn 3.
Yeah, it's going to be critical to make that run along the back straight, but also in these Formula cars, they are prone to damage. And for those that have driven the Sandown circuit here on the iRacing platform, these curves could be quite detrimental to the behaviour and the damage model of this particular car. So you really got to make that move stick and make sure you try and stay off those curbs as much as you can handle.
We're on board here with Alex McCullough as Thomas Hinds looks up the inside. Almost gets it done, but coming back through here will be McCullough, and he's going to hold another spot because Hinds will not be able to get it done in through turn 2 up to turn 3. Turn 4 here, one of the most crucial corners on the circuit, so difficult to get right. And Hinds may actually be a little bit susceptible to Nathan Norman behind. Back to the front, though, because Cooper Allen is under pressure from Dan Yeaman, looking to make this move again around the outside. If you can hold it around the outside at the approach into the first part of the S's, you may be able to pull it off. We see that in the tin tops, but not so much in Formula cars.
Yeah, we are only in lap 4 of 17 in race number 1 here tonight, so we've still got a long, long way to go. Have a quick look at the battle of 4-5 there as James Chastanoff and Josh Haynes sitting a little bit further back from the lead group. But with any contact, as we saw in Winton in round number 1, Chastanoff there in P4 at the moment in a prime position to take advantage of any contact ahead.
Cameron Dance almost bump drafting Dan Yeaman. I know these two are in conversation with each other, and we saw there too, James Chastanoff did get ahead of Lachlan Capel, who made a mistake there at Dandenong Road, so loses a spot. Dance continues on trying to help Yeaman get through or push Yeaman along. These two will be trying to work together to work out the best way to get Cooper Allen, but at the moment, Cooper Allen doing absolutely everything he needs to hold on to that spot. Only just, but just is enough. That's not looking good for Sean Doyle. Don't hit the wall. He's smashed his front wing into the wall.
Yeah, new livery there for Sean Doyle this season, which looks absolutely the red, white and blue, very patriotic there for the Aussie driver. But we get focused back on the action further along the field here at the moment as they make their way under the Penrite Bridge. We'll jump on board a VRS replay. We might actually see what happened to Sean Doyle there.
Maybe we won't. My PC is failing a little bit at the moment, so we'll see how we go. Here we go. There's the spin there. Just a fairly basic common spin, but what I was wanting to look at here is Thomas Hinds. We said that it's going to be tough to make moves into the S's. Thomas Hinds does it, and have a look at how close Nathan Norman got to taking advantage of that offline approach into the corner there for Alex McCullough. So not quite close enough to get the move done, but it was very, very close.
As we watch the leaders now make their way out of turn number 4 onto the back straight. Now we're on lap 6 of 17, so relatively quick lap times around this circuit, just under a minute 10. So the 17 laps should tick by pretty quickly for those leaders up the front. And I think you'll find that Cooper Allen leading at the moment is probably not far from coming around to the first of what is the lap traffic.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers have to come into the pits to get some damage fixed. The top 35 have not had to make an entrance into the pit lane. But everyone on back from there has had to use a spare car. So, well, that's a car around. That was Roy Clark having a moment there at the second last corner. Approaching the pit lane. Go back to the front. Dance might get this done here on Yeaman. He's close enough to get it done, but I think he backs out of it.
Yeah, wily old character Cam Dance, and like you said, the two drivers sitting second and third potentially in each other's ear, so they're not really potentially racing each other this early in the race. They want to do everything they can to try and get their cars in front of Cooper Allen and relegate him behind them so they can work together and potentially pull away. We jump on board with Nathan Norman now, sitting in at 9th, just inside the top 10. He's got a good draft, sitting behind Alex McKellar in that distinctive green Formula 4 in front.
Side by side for the lead again. Still not able to do it is Dan Yeaman. We'll go back and look there at Nathan Norman in a second, but there's a little bit of contact there between Yeaman and Allen. The blinking car of Cooper Allen will definitely be distracting Dan Yeaman and Cameron Dance at the moment.
Yeah, Dan Yeaman looks like he's got some really good speed here at the midpoint of the race, putting lots of pressure as they made their way down the hill on Cooper Allen. But Cooper Allen actually, I think he got a race win in one of the 3 heats of the opening round. So he's proven to us already that he's got the ability to lead at this field. Just goes a little bit defensive into turn 1 as they carry a third gear through there, but it doesn't actually jeopardise his run into the 2, 3, 4 switchback section. Just on board with Cam Dance now, a couple of car lengths back, but he will have plenty of draft as they ride that curb just to wash off a little bit of speed, straighten the car up, and then they get into their draft mode along this back straight up the hill. A little bit of weaving going on, just trying to break the draft of the cars behind, but everybody's well and truly onto that game.
A little bit of a blink will be distracting Dan Yeaman now. That's purely would be computer performance related, I would guess, with so many cars out there. We're not seeing too much load in regards to other issues that we can often see in these events, but tonight the amount of cars we've got, we had troubles last week, we've got even more again this week, so some drivers really are struggling with that. We hit 8 done, 9 to go. Legitimately, anyone in the top 5 could win this from here because they're all so close. The gap between Cameron Dance to James Chastanoff, that's closing. Last lap was 3/10 quicker, Chastanoff. Oh, mistake for Cooper Allen.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle on the exit of turn number 1. He uses all the tarmac on the outside of the circuit and makes his way back on without actually losing a position, but he has made himself vulnerable, and that's just given Daniel Yeaman a bit of an opportunity to dangle the carrot in front of the donkey as they join their draft train along the back straight. Now we've seen plenty of moves already from Yeaman at the end of this straight. Probably not close enough this time to have a look at anything, but he's certainly got the attention of Cooper Allen in front.
Yeah, Cooper Allen will know now that he got away with one minor error. And the issue with that as well is a huge lock up there for Dan Yeaman. There may have been a little bit of contact. And have a look at who's on the back of this train. We said that the top 3 had broken away. Well, that's all done. Now a 5-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, that little brake lock up there for the 3 in front was just enough for the duo of Chastanoff and P6 of Lock on Capel there just to join the back of the train. We have a lap car on the inside doing everything he can to stay out of the way. It's car number 67. Going into the braking zone, should just let these leaders through without any dramas.
There's another car spinning just ahead as well. Got out of the way. That's Dean Russell, who's just kept it off to the side as well. Just in behind that too, great battle between Josh Haynes and Thomas Hinz, who's closed in a lot of time very quickly. David Baz has just had a moment. He was in 7th position. He's just lost all of that ground that he had, so he's going to have to work at it again. As the Cooper Allen train, with that little help of the lap down car, that could help Josh Haynes and Thomas Hinz almost catch up into the draft of these leaders.
Yeah, what once was a 3-car party could very quickly turn into 7. So we've just got to be very aware of what these lap traffic will potentially do. Actually, I thought the top 5 may have dropped 6 and 7 again there with a little bit of contact in the background, I think I saw. So back to a 5-horse race up the front, but still any one of those 5 drivers capable for a win tonight. We've got 7 laps to go as they cross the line now. Still the Cooper Allen, the leading car up in front, having a few issues and blinking, but Daniel Yeaman trying to go around the outside. Just has to ride that curb a little bit.
Yeah, if you could hold it wide there, he almost would have had it done, but just couldn't quite do it. A little bit cheeky from Cooper Allen how wide he pushed Yeaman there, but good sportsmanship as around goes Cooper Allen. And a tiny little bit of contact there from Dan Yeaman as well. So Cooper Allen around, he's going to drop all the way back down to 7th and maybe lose even more. And that contact at the front of Dan Yeaman's car, is there any damage? I can't see any. He might have got away with it.
Yeah, I think he rode that curb and rotated pretty well. Did a pirouette on the spot. Managed to keep it off the wall, but was very, very lucky not to get any contact from those other cars coming through because he found himself just off the racing line as the drivers made their way out of P4. But he's definitely lost a handful of positions, but more importantly, a ton of track time. So it's going to be hard for him to recover from there. But he does have good pace and potentially, what's happened here?
Yeah, so Josh Haynes' teammates had a moment there. That's at Dandenong Road. So what has happened there for him? That's a huge incident. So we'll see if we can pick up what's happened. Has there been contact here? Because that's Thomas Hinz alongside him. I hope there's no contact. Hinz gets through, does he? No, off the curb. Oh, it bounces it off the grass himself.
Yeah, very lucky not to catch the back of Haynes. Thomas Hinz there under the braking zone, but Hinz getting the job done around the outside, and then that was car number 6, P6, just making a little bit of contact with the curb, and from there he was just a passenger and straight into the fence. So race 1 done, I reckon, there for Haynes, was it?
Yes. And now there's a mistake there from, was that Dance? Now Dance and Yeaman side by side. We're just having some issues with the timing at the moment, so apologies for that. Hopefully it'll fix itself in a second. We've still got 5 laps to go. But, my live timing's decided to have a minor heart attack. Hopefully it'll fix itself in a second.
Side by side as they cross the line, complete another lap. There's 5 to go. This time, Yeaman on the inside of Dance, giving a little bit of room there on the exit of turn number 1. Carries enough speed to retain that position. But Dance chasing off, sitting in 3rd there at the moment. So we are back to a group of 4 up the front of the field. We are seeing more lap traffic as the lead group try and get in the draft, get the tow along that back straight from the slower car in front. Hopefully he'll hold his position and everybody can just make their way around the right-hand side, as we see now. Dipping down the hill through this left-hander into the S's. Change of direction. Obviously you saw earlier just how critical it is to stay off those curbs as they get hard on the brakes. Try not to run wide at Dandenong, and they make their way back underneath the Penrite Bridge. No position change at the moment, but very, very good racing and lots of respect being shown up the front of the field.
100%. Plenty of respect done between these, out there between these 5, or 4, I should say now. With, of course, we had Cooper Allen in amongst these guys earlier. Of course, he's dropped back in the field now after that spin. He's actually got himself back out on track. Where is he in the list now? I can't even see him on my list. Where is he? There he is. Back into 21st. So disappointing for him, but he'll come back stronger. And of course, progressive grid means he's going to start from wherever he finishes in this one. Every position in the next couple of laps is absolutely critical.
Yeah, good pace and a clean car. So we should see him climb back up through a couple of positions at least in the next remaining few laps before the checkered flag drops. But all the action is happening up the front at the moment as the leaders make their way through.
The Dance trying to get this done on Yeaman, but also in the same breath doesn't want to make contact because, as I said, they are in communication with each other. They are on the same Discord channel together. Of course, 2 familiar voices you hear on Simspeed TV. Both commentate with us here, so they want to make sure that they don't make contact. They want to make sure that they race very, very respectfully. And they're both generally very respectable drivers and respectful drivers as well.
On saying that, no one probably wants to give an inch to the other as well because it is a long season. We are only in round number 2, so we've got a long way to go. And there is bragging rights on offer here tonight. So look a bit further back in the field at the moment. Looks like cars are a little bit spaced out. We've got a little party of 4 here making their way through, and it's a Vasco Swarovski P8 just on the back of this group here. So he's got the draft of the car in front, done up in the bright green. Just trying to work out who that is. That's actually Alex McKellar in front. And we look back behind him and we have a good look at Kieran Ellis.
Incredible how committed they are to the S's there. Basically just lifting off the throttle and maybe a slight tap on the brake just to control the car and get the front wheels planted as they dive down the hill through the S's. Incredible that they are so committed through there. It's great to watch. We come up to the line. 2 laps to go in this one. Yeaman still leads from Dance, Chastanoff and Capel. Got a 4-second gap back to Hinz in 5th place, so it's definitely down to this final 4 at this stage. Hinz is in a land of his own, and then that secondary group we saw before of Norman, McKellar, Sorowski and Alice battling 6th through to 9th.
Yeah, plenty of little battle groups around the track here tonight. You can see some, even though they are further back in the field, there's plenty of drivers fighting for position. And like I said, every point counts here in Ozicar Series for this 12-round season we are here this time round. But a little bit of curb being used by Yeaman, not unsettling the car enough, but Dance tucked right underneath his rear wing. So this time round we will be given the white flag. So now's the time, if Dance is really going to tighten those screws and put the pressure on Yeaman, this is the time to do it, because laps are very, very quickly running out.
White flag is in the air. This is the last lap of the race. And look at the lap traffic in front of these guys. This could hurt Dan Yeaman, and it definitely is, because here comes Dance up the inside to take advantage, and then make contact with that spinning car in front. Yeaman goes around. Chastanoff now leads the race.
Yeah, I think we saw Chassie do the same thing last round at Winton, where he managed to sneak through and get a podium position. It might have even been a win from memory, by just sitting there in the background waiting for an opportunity, and then some car contact in front handed him a nice points haul. So our championship leader here after round 1, now leading race number 1 of round number 2. So looking to increase that stranglehold. But Dance looked like he redressed that position to Yeaman, as he did in round number 1, I think it was, with Thomas Hinz. Yeah. So we make our way under the Penrite Bridge for the last time here for race number 1. Chastanoff is leading the way. Looks like that lap traffic in front is not going to play part in this.
Finish line comes up very early, and there it is. So Chastanoff does pick up the win. Lachlan Capel in 2nd. Dan Yeaman in 3rd. Cameron Dance in 4th, and Thomas Hinz almost got those guys in 5th position. Sorowski almost gets his teammate in McKellar at the end there, but not quite close enough right at the finish line. Sean Doyle might steal a spot here on Russell Clark, and he's got just behind there the 69. That is a lap down car of Brody Tressida. But Russell Clark here, he's got a little bit of pressure coming from behind to Sean Doyle.
Yeah, well, the leaders have crossed the line. There's still plenty of action on track. Contact has been made. Doyle goes around, and that lap car of 69 gets caught up as collateral damage. Doyle backs into the tyre barrier, manages to keep going, but of course has lost a handful of positions in the process. That might be
lucky
Darryl.
It only lost one. Only Darren Shannon.
Yeah, Darren Shannon there, 275, making his way through, getting gifted a position as well. So it's not over until it's over. You've really got to cross that checkered flag, and plenty of pressure being put on right until the death knock of race number 1.
So unofficial results for race 1 of round 2. First ever broadcast on SimSpeed at Sandown Raceway with James Chastanoff. Only a 10th of a second over Lachlan Capel, with Dan Yeaman and Cameron Dance finishing 3rd and 4th. Thomas Hinz, Nathan Norman, Alex McKellar, Vasco Sorowski, Kieran Ellis and Reese Howell round out the top 10.
Yeah, good result there for Reese to make the top 10. Donald Sabinow out of 11. David Baz crossed the line in 12 after running in 6 there for quite a while early on. Good result for Nathan Verney in 13. Brady Baldwin, Matthew Harriott, and our early race leader Cooper Allen there crossing the line in P16. So we did manage to secure another couple of positions there in the dying laps. Stuart Crawford in P17 at the end of the 17 laps, followed by Sean McKenzie, Russell Clark, and Darren Shannon rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, good comeback there for Cooper Allen to get back to 15th. Sean Doyle finishes 21st. He only lost one spot after that incident right at the end of race 1, with Andrew Ritchie Leon Williams, Jack Mickelson, Craig Kerman, Brody Shepherd, Darren Lassou, Ira Felberg, and Philip Howe rounding out the top 29, the leaders on the lead lap. From there back, it is the drivers 1 lap down or further. Joshua Barry, the first of them, 1 lap down.
Yeah, Liam Banks, Peter Bowling, Ash Knowles, they're also on that same lap. Doug Robson, Tom Wilkinson, and Brody Treader. John Snell and Dennis Hancock in 37-38. They were the last of the cars 1 lap down. Then we find ourselves 2 laps down. We've got David Leslie and Stephen Butcher finding a little bit of carnage early on. And rounding out the field, Warren Henry, Roy Clark 2 laps down, and Zach Mitchell missing 4 laps from the leaders. Dean Russell in the same boat. Josh Haynes, after that little hiccup in the meeting the wall, he called it a night rather early. And it was Ben Wheeler and Max Lumsden potentially not making the start line.
Yeah, they didn't take to the start. We're just going to have a quick look at a replay before we talk about some other stuff. And this is on board with Dance. You notice he sees that lap car and he gets to the turn there, and as soon as he sees the smoke, he locks that front wheel. So I think the incident has come from a distraction from that lap car ahead spinning rather than an actual incident itself.
Yeah, both drivers there very lucky to continue. They didn't necessarily lose a lot of points or a lot of time, but looks like Dance did the right thing there and redressed the position, and as a result found himself out of P2 and off the podium, and that of course gifted our race winner James Chastanoff and Lachlan Capel the top 2 steps of the virtual podium here tonight. So a very, very action-packed race number 1. I'm expecting similar things in a race number 2 as the drivers get ready very shortly with a it's not an inverted grid for race number 2.
No, we're just a straight out progressive grid. So means that we'll be basically lining up as they finish. No changes to the positions. We're about 2 minutes away from getting to the green flag. Before we get into that, we'll quickly thank the series sponsors and supporters that help us get it done here at SimSpeed and Ozicar, of course. Sim Racing Leagues, also to the Locked On iRacing lads, and also Prestige badge trophy badge and engraving. I got it out. I've done worse than Haynes there. Big thanks to those guys. Of course, big thanks to #NoSocialHate, supporters of that for this season here at Ozicar and at SimSpeed. So get behind that as well. Make sure you speak up when someone's being pretty inappropriate, especially online. We're seeing it quite a lot online, unfortunately. So fingers crossed we see some improvement going forward in that side of things. 1 minute to go. Predictions, more of the same, more controversy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think we'll find Daniel Yeaman and Cam Dance both pretty keen to make amends and get a bag full of points for race number 2 here tonight. They will still be starting at the pointy end of the grid. So James Chastanoff and Lachlan Capel are going to find themselves rather busy with their mirrors quite full. I think Thomas Hinds is probably going to be my pick for a sneaky podium as well. He finished 5th and rather strong there in race number 1. And then, of course, Alex McKellar there. He was a little bit off the pace, 9 seconds behind the leaders, but anything can happen, as we saw towards the end of race number 1, and he might be another dark horse as well.
Shout out to Brady Baldwin as well. Started 42nd in that race. Finished himself in P number 14, so up 28 positions from where he started in race number 1. Race 2 coming up in only a few seconds' time. It's going to be absolutely chaotic. Fingers crossed we see there's a little bit of messiness back in the field we're hearing. So we missed a lot of it, which is in a way probably a good thing, because the racing we saw at the front was absolutely incredible. It was very, very tough to pass, but if you could get the run at the right spot and use the curbs to your advantage, be game to use the curbs, you could definitely see a payoff.
Yeah, well, that particular exit curb on turn number 4 saw a couple of cars get caught out in race number 1. So a lot of drivers will be aware that that's quite a critical part of the track, and you really don't want to get your car up on that curb, because it does just railroad. You almost get your tyres off the ground, and she grinds across there Tony Hawk Underground 2 style, because you get a heap of points. But we are very close to getting back underway now. A lot of the drivers are gridding up as we speak, but leading us off for our feature race here tonight, James Chastanoff will be sitting off pole and looking to get a good run on the inside line as the rest of the cars behind all file into line and sort themselves out.
Only 20 seconds on the clock. Huge field. I must say, how good does Sandown look? And how how bizarre and thrilling is it to say that we've got Sandown on iRacing after all these years of wanting it, hoping for it. The fact that we know that in the future it's going to be gone, but it's being preserved forever on iRacing is absolutely incredible. It's one track that I still get to go to every now and again. I don't get to go to much racing these days, but Sandown's a place I do get to go to, so it's pretty exciting that it's here.
So plenty of revs being risen at the moment. The lights go green and the drivers get underway. A little bit of puff of smoke from the leader out the front. Looks like a relatively clean start. If you look a little bit further back in the field, going 4, 5, 6 wide there, it looks like in certain parts of the track, which isn't going to work. Looks like everybody makes their way through turn number 1, except for the pink and white car there, who's playing out in the kitty litter. He finds himself at the back of the field. Puff of smoke in the background as well. So a few brake lockups, but I don't think too much damage considering we've got a 46 car, 47 car field. Oh, I spoke too
Brody
soon.
Shepherd. Yeah, Brody Shepherd, the car around the car we saw from the kitty litter before as well, was that of Sean McKenzie. So he was the driver that we saw off in the dirt. And have a look at what's happened already. Top 4 have broken away from everyone else. There's a little bit of a gap back to Nathan Norman. And Hinz is already out of spot as Yeaman through on his teammate Lachlan Capel, and Capel's going to lose too.
So James Chastanoff, just a little bit of a gap at the moment as they make their way through the right and left-hander, leading back onto the straight for lap number 1. Plenty of action back further in the field though, because we did say not all the action does happen up the front. There's guys further buried deep in the field. They've got their hands full as well. Donald Sabinal is one of those drivers. He is tucked underneath the rear wing there as he crosses the line to make 1 lap down, 16 to go. He just moves to the right-hand side to get out of the draft of that blinking car.
Yeah, it's Cooper Allen trying to make his way back through the field. Of course, we saw how well he did right at the start of the last race. Of course, one minor error cost him a lot of time. He's still blinking a little bit. And Brady Baldwin still up net 31 spots from where he started in race 1. So doing absolutely incredibly as Cooper Allen checks out the field a little bit. Ran off the circuit. He's actually got a slow down penalty. Ran wide at turn 2 across the grass and cut turn 3. So he's going to have to slow down. Lose all of that ground to those cars there. He's going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, happening so early in the race, you don't just lose 1 or 2 positions. Very likely he's going to lose 4, 5, 6, even more. As Daryl Shannon there just ducks in behind. It looks like, contact's been made just in the braking zone down at Dandenong.
Yeah, so that was Matthew Harriott, Cooper Allen, and we also saw the Reese Howell off the circuit. Oh, that's a horrible rejoin from Cooper Allen. He's caused a huge incident there with the 14 car. 14 is Liam Banks, and that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, had one of those domino effects where it just got from bad to worse, didn't it? The more we looked at it, the more action and the damage was happening in the background. So we jump on board a VRS replay, and you just focus on him there. Just up on the curb, gets a bit of a tank slapper happening, and then it's just pinball right. And then, of course, a few cars come through in the background. The difference in speed between those drivers is pretty detrimental, and that's probably what's caused that secondary contact there in the background.
That was the 2 drop bear cars at the back of the field, who haven't had the best run in this season so far, that being Tom Wilkinson and Zach Campbell. They both, Zach Mitchell, I should say, both got involved through no fault of their own, as that's Andrew Ritchie through on Brody Shepherd into the S's. So Tom, I don't think, has finished a race in this series so far. He's been unfortunately crashed out of every single one so far.
So all we're being focused on that, we have added a change for the leaders. The drivers go through to complete yet another lap. Daniel Yeaman's taking control of this race with Chastanoff now sitting in second, and he is separated by Cam Dance there and Lachlan Capel in P4.
Nathan Norman, as you said before about those curbs, he just hit the outside of the curb at the exit of turn 1 and almost lit it up and looped it in front of Thomas Hinz, but did hold on. Very close.
Yeah, once you bottom your car out on those high curbs, you're really just a passenger, and you hope that the cars fall your way as you slide off and get back traction on the tarmac. But Thomas Hinz right on the back. Well, he's in draft mode of Nathan Norman there as well. So Norman having a good result in race number 1. Car 4 facing the wrong way as well. So that's Josh Haynes after a potentially good start in race number 1. hasn't managed to recover too well in race number 2.
And he's done exactly what his teammate did in race 1. So up into turn 4. Not quite the same, but very similar. And he's actually got the rear wheel stuck in the fence. So he is out of the race. See him just off there in the pit lane. Back to the front of the field.
Yeah, Daniel Yeaman just pushing pretty hard there through the exit of turn 1, actually running off onto the grass there, but it didn't necessarily jeopardise his position, but it's given James Chastanoff another opportunity to latch onto the back. But more critically, it'll be interesting to see whether Daniel Yeaman's actually got any damage to his car. So he seems to be throwing it around quite a bit up the front of the field here at the moment. We still have a long way to go in this race, so he's really got to try and keep it clean without causing too much damage, because that could just be detrimental to his race as the laps unfold.
Thomas Hinds just got through on Nathan Norman, so that is positional change there. He's up into P5, back to where he started. But he's got decent pace at the moment, does Hinsey, so he may be able to get that spot, or get that gap down, I should say. It's at 1.1 seconds. Draft is probably going to start taking effect at that distance. And one thing about this track is it's basically 2 huge long straights with a few twisty bits in between.
Yeah, of course, for those that don't know, it is actually built around the outside of a horse racing circuit, so it really is a big oval with a couple of the little left-right switchbacks thrown in for the equation. But one thing you don't sort of notice until you actually drive a car, and particularly a low-profile car like these F4s, is just how big the hill is on this back straight. It's actually quite steep. You tend to watch it on the screen and you don't realise just how significant it is. And then, of course, the corner drops away here to the left-hand side, and you've got the S's in the hard braking zone as you make your way down the hill. So it's not a flat circuit like you tend to think Sandown potentially could be.
Not huge amount of elevation change, but it just comes up very quickly, doesn't it? It's very steep and then drops away, and then the rest of the track is very flat. Dan's not quite able to get it done, but he's very, very close there. But yeah, you're right. On TV, you don't even notice the elevation at all.
So the top 4 now, making a bit of a break for it. Thomas Hinds at P5, now sitting 2 seconds off the back of the lead group. At car 36 there, that is Cam Dance getting the job done on race 1 winner James Chastanoff. So he's been relegated back to 3rd after leading on the opening laps of this race. But he would be quite happy to sit there, I think, at this point. We've still got 10 laps to go, long way to go, and this is exactly where he was in race number 1 before he was handed a win. So no point panicking just yet. Just got to find yourself in the right spot at the right time and then take advantage when the opportunity arises.
Ten laps to go when they cross the line next time by, which is still 30 plus kilometres of racing. Still a lot left that could happen and probably will happen. One thing that has happened, remember the last lap by we said that the gap was just over a second back to Hinds. It's now nothing. He's in the draft. He's got it down to half a second.
Yeah, it's a good mid-race pace there by Hinds. So with these cars up in front, tripping over themselves a little bit, and that's just given Hinds enough opportunity to get onto the back. He's well and truly in draft mode of Capel there now, so won't be long before this party of 4 becomes a party of 5. Looking a little bit further back in the field, Brody Baldwin there is currently in 9th, so he's still hanging on to a top 10 position. So from where he started the night, he's looking at pretty healthy at the moment. So just goes to show, if you manage to keep your car clean and you pick your moments right, you can make your way through a field, even if it's 47 deep, to find yourself in the top 10. So
I know the exact PM he's going to send me after this finishes. He'll be saying, "Not bad for a dirt driver, am I?" So it's the exact words that it'll be. He's always been very proud of his progression from someone that only knew how to sling it sideways in the dirt, and how good a job he's doing of progressing on the road side of things. To get a top 10 in this field is great, but to do it from coming back from in the 40s as qualifying position, absolutely incredible, and hats off to him. He's done a brilliant job.
Yeah, well, we don't want to put the commentator's curse on him yet. We have got a
probably
long
just
way to
did.
go. Yeah. See a car coming out of the pits there. A few of the racers moving across off the racing line just to allow themselves, or minimising the risk.
We're
Oh,
on board here with Dance, and that's Yeaman who's been taken and hit by, I believe, that's Cooper Allen, who was about to go a lap down. It is.
so that's almost a replica of what happened to Yeaman in race number 1. This time, facing the wrong way, and he returns to the pits, so wasn't quite lucky enough to get away with it. VRS replay will show you exactly what happened for those that missed it.
This is on board with Yeaman. Comes in, you see a little bit of the curb on the inside, makes contact with his teammate. And then they interlock wheels, and that is race over. That car is not getting out of that gap. The front wing and the wheel sort of too close together to separate those cars.
Yeah, Yeaman getting skull dragged back to the infielders. Car 6 there tried to reverse out of the way, but what were we saying before? James Chastanoff sitting healthy in 3rd, just waiting for an opportunity, and he finds himself back at the front of the field again. But of course, Thomas Hins in the background as well, sitting P4, looking to make a move on Lachlan Capel there in the background. So
while we were watching that replay, Chastanoff got through on Dance. So Dance, of course, took the lead when Yeaman got hit. But Dance is now back through and taking the lead back. So good job from Dance's. Oh, no, that's Reese Howell and David Baz, 2 drivers that have had issues in race 1. They're having issues in race 2 as well.
yeah, I think David Baz had issues in race 1 at turn 1 as well. So he'll be pretty keen to put that corner behind him. He's got to regroup now and try and bring it home. But the VRS replay shows how close they were going into the braking zone.
Oh, that lap down car made a little bit of a mess of it, and they've both come in way too hot. I don't think either of them were going to make the corner then anyway.
No, I think you actually did a pretty good job to pick them out of that big pile of smoke that was sitting on the outside of turn number 1. It was.
The Dance has broken a second already. This lap traffic has played a little bit of havoc here. Dance is out to a second. Capel not able to close that gap down. So he's stuck right at the rear of James Chastanoff, and Hins and Nathan Norman, they've broken back as well. And McCullough and Alice are in this too.
Yeah, I think Hins. Oh, another big.
Oh, another spinner. That's a lap down
yeah.
car. Bit of Bowling that was, having a little moment there. He's done a good job though to spin it completely out of the way.
Yeah, get it off the racing line, and no one else was involved in that. So detrimental to only his race, but he'll manage to flick spin that and keep going. But we focus on the leaders now. Cam Dance out in front. He's got 9/10 of a second on Chastanoff. Chastanoff still in the draft, but of course, I think the draft works up to about 1.4 seconds in these cars. So still getting a bit of a toe down the back straight, but 9/10 of a second is going to be a bit of an ask for Chastanoff to try and reel that in, particularly with the pressure that's being applied from behind from Lachlan Capel.
Yeah, I think without the car behind 9/10, he wouldn't be too stressed about it. He'd be reeling that in. But the fact that he's got that blue and white car, which has been having tech issues as well, so blinking in and out a little bit as well, definitely will be a little bit distracting. But I must say that Capel's distractions, his issues have looked like they've been a little bit more sorted as he dives it up the inside. He does manage to pull it up, does he? Yes, he does. Nice move there from Lachlan Capel to get it done on James Chastanoff.
Yeah, I don't think Chastanoff put up too much of a battle there. He's probably, as a championship leader, probably thinking about the long game, and a third's better than a DNF. But
well, especially since one of his rivals is in the pits, DNF. That's, I believe that's David Leslie in the wall there. Yes, it is.
But with Dance out to a second, that's not necessarily written in stone just yet, because we have seen lap traffic play a part in the results in the past, and just how the cars are dealt and how they fall. So without too much issue and through no fault of their own, Cam Dance could come back to these guys without too much warning.
Well, especially with the amount of lap traffic there is in this race now, we could see that that field get quite mixed up very quickly. They'll cross the line for 5 laps remaining in this one. And I must say that Sandown has lived up to every expectation I had. Absolute chaos, action, great overtakes, controversy, and heaps of fun.
Yeah, when you look at the map from an aerial view, it doesn't look overly technical, but there is plenty of little finesse things you need to consider when you're making a lap around this circuit. It is a short circuit too, so just like I said, on a minute 10 on these cars, so it doesn't take long to rotate. So if you make a mistake, you can very quickly find yourself a lap down or potentially have the leaders right on your tail. So jump on board now. This is David Baz in Vernie in the locked on F4, looking ahead towards David Baz. Just negotiating a little bit of traffic there as they make their way through turn 4 onto the back straight.
Drive at the moment from Vernie is basically where he started, but that's often in this field with the amount of drivers that you got and keeping yourself out of trouble, holding your positions as good as gaining positions in some aspects. And going back to what you were saying before about looking at this track on a track map and how it doesn't look too technical, I think the thing that makes it technical is that it's not silky smooth, and the other part to it is the curbs are uncharacteristic in that they don't really suit how you would expect a track like this to be. You'd expect the curbs to be a lot flatter, but they're very, very big. And they've also got the Armco barrier a lot closer to the track than you would think at a permanent circuit as well.
Yeah, the curves are quite aggressive, and like you say, got quite a high profile on them. And of course, if we saw earlier on, you find yourself caught up in that Armco barrier really easily. And we saw a car there earlier get his wheel caught in it here at turn number 4. And have to tow back to the pits, which pretty well ruined his race. So, not a lot of runoff.
Oh, that's Dance. That's Cameron Dance off the circuit at Dandenong Road. So we were saying before there was a chance. Don't lock it in yet. Well, that's why.
It'll be interesting if we can actually have a look at that and see whether there was lap traffic involved.
I'm going to say potentially no. And they were close, but there's a lock up ahead of him, so... Oh, yes, there was lap traffic involved. Now.
Yeah. Again, through no fault of his own, Dance finds himself out playing in the sand, and that leaves Lachlan Capel as our race leader at the moment.
James Chastanoff is the leader at the moment. Capel's had a moment at turn 1.
Yeah, Hinz is up to P2. And a big gap back to Capel now as well. So it wasn't just a little mistake there at turn number 1. It's been quite a big error. Lap traffic, maybe?
Black car in front. That's... Oh, no. That's the 4 of Josh Haynes having another issue. And, again, another driver at the front of the field through no fault of their own. It's involved in an incident. And we're going to see... These guys at the front, that being Chastanoff and Hinz, first and second, they're going to think, oh no, what's going to happen to me now?
Well, I think if I was James Chastanoff, I'd let Hinzy lead this race for a couple of laps.
Go through and say, you take it, I'll take the second.
Pretty much with three laps to go, or 2 laps to go, I wouldn't take any chances.
No way. 2 to go, so only 6 kilometres of racing here at Sandown. Hinz goes through, takes the lead, but Chastanoff almost able to come back, not going to be able to get the crossover. But if he's close enough here and forces a little bit offline here into 4, may get the momentum onto the back straight. Not quite close enough, but he will be enough to cause a little bit of a question mark in Hinz's mind. He's not going to get the move done as Chastanoff, but he's there close enough to maybe throw it up the inside at Dandenong Road, maybe close enough to cause a distraction.
Yeah, but more importantly, if you looked further down the road there on that camera shot, there was no lap traffic directly in front of him. So this will be a shootout for the final lap between Thomas Hinz and James Chastanoff for the win of race number 2 here at Sandown. Chastanoff running wide.
Yeah, it's given up a fair bit of ground there too, around about 0.6 of a second. Now the gap from first to second, so Hinz off in no man's land at the moment. That's going to be hard to come back for James Chastanoff at the end of this race. White flag flies, 1 lap to go. Final run at Sandown for round 2. The Ozicar Formula 4 Series. You'd think that Chastanoff isn't able to close that gap down. The battle for third is still on. Nathan Norman's found himself involved in this.
Yeah, looking pretty racy and very, very keen to put his name on the bottom step of that podium, but he's got a bit of work to do before he writes himself into the record books for the Aussie Car Formula 4 season. It's no easy feat to get past Lachlan Capel or Cam Dance, but he makes his way. down the back straight up the hill. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars there in the background. That is our lead 6 with Alex McKellar sitting there in the background. But Chastanoff, last opportunity down the hill into the S's, into this heavy braking zone, you could almost say, and he's not close enough to put any real direct pressure on Thomas Hinz.
No, it's going to come down to now if Hinz doesn't make an error. And remember, you said in the break between the two races, Hinz probably one to watch here. Is the dark horse a legitimate chance in this race? Well, no longer a chance. Thomas Hinz is going to win this race, and through being in the right place at the right time, which not many drivers have been able to say they could do. Congratulations, Thomas Hinz, winner of race 2.
Yeah, Chastanoff crossing the line there in second. Cam Dance putting his name on that bottom step of the podium behind Nathan Capel. But further back in the field, there's still races and positions up for grabs. This is Shepard Sabinal and Darren Shannon, 14, 15, 16. It's only going to be a mistake or a lock-up under brakes here. It's going to allow Sabinal an opportunity.
Well, you nearly got one there.
Yeah, there's a little bit... Oh, they're hugging that curve, that guardrail as close as they can. Sabinal's going to have to go the long way around, but the draft isn't quite enough.
Thomas Hinz burning it down in celebration. Well done to him. And James Chastanoff, from my very, very, very quick maths, should win the round again. So another great performance from James Chastanoff, and heartbreak for quite a few drivers, none more so than Dan Yeaman.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of drivers potentially walking away from this round with their head in their hands, and Cooper Allen being one of those. I think Daniel Yeaman, another one that potentially had really good speed in both races, just wasn't able to bring it home tonight. But the bubbly champagne will be celebrated in the Thomas Hinz garage tonight as he celebrates a win here in race number 2 on Simspeed TV for the Ozicar Formula 4 Series at Sandown Raceway. It'll be happy memories for himself.
100% will be. We'll go through the results and hopefully we'll get the boys in for a very, very quick chat. So, Hinz, Chastanoff, and Dance, your podium. Lachlan Cable finishes in 4th position. Norman in 5th. McCullough finishes in 6th with Kieran Ellis and Brady Baldwin. Brady Baldwin, what a drive. 42nd to 14th to 8th. He'll be over the moon with that. Vasco Skorowski in 9th. And David Baz, very, very up and down night for him, but still somehow salvages a 10th place.
Yeah, good result from David Baz. I think that's 2 top 10s for David, and we did see him have an incident at turn 1 in both races. So, in the scheme of things, probably a pretty good result. So we just look over the page. Nathan Verney there, a very healthy P11 in race number 2. Reece Howell, Joshua Barry, and Brody Shepherd in 12, 13, 14. Donald Sabinal and Darren Shannon make up 15 and 16 with Craig Kerman, Stuart Crawford, Leon Williams, and John Snell make up your top 20 tonight.
Yeah, from there we got Warren Henry, Jack Mickelson, Matthew Harriott, and Darren Lasue rounding out the top 24 with a tale of woe and what might have been for all sorts of drivers and for all sorts of reasons in this group. Yeaman, Russell, Tressida, Clark, Felberg, and also Roy Clark all finishing 1 lap down, but still inside the top 30.
And rolling over the page, David Leslie and Liam Banks and Doug Robson there, 1 lap down, Doug Robson being 2. Then we look back a bit further, Stephen Butcher, 3 laps down, Dennis Hancock, 4 laps off the lead. Josh Haynes, car number 4 there, and a lot of damage, or a lot of carnage there towards the end of the race in P36. Sean McKenzie, Sean Doyle, Ash Knowles, and Peter Bowling make your top 40 with a handful of drivers on the last page. Philip Howe and 6 laps down. Cooper Allen, 9 laps off the pace. Andrew Ritchie there called it quits rather early, finishing 10 laps down. Zach Mitchell, 11. Tom Wilkinson, 13 laps. And again, Ben Wheeler and Max Lumsden failing to make the start-finish line. So 45 official cars made the grid tonight. Like you said, some tales of woe, but we want to talk to some of the celebration winners here tonight. And we've got a couple of them sitting in the interview booth waiting to have a chat.
Yeah, we'll go firstly to race 2 winner Thomas Hinz. Congratulations, Hinzy. A great result. Probably not how you would have expected it, though, because you just sort of sat in the right spot at the right time and then made one pass right at the end to get the move done to win.
Pretty much, yeah. Just was obviously sitting there. I was trying to, I wanted to try and obviously get a good jump to jump Nathan, so I'd stick with that lead pack. But Nathan kind of got the jump there, but that's right, managed to clear him pretty quick and tag on at the front. And then, yeah, I was just sitting there, I thought, well, being a drive track, I'll just sit here. Maybe if I can pick off 1 or 2 to just be in that prime spot, then that'd be good. But I was like, I'll just sit here and see what happens. And yeah, then a couple of cars there being a bit not great, so I don't know if we'll see them again. Wouldn't think so, but yeah, I just really feel sorry for. If anything, I just feel sorry for the others that got caught in all that, because that was ridiculous, really, the stuff going on there. But yeah, still managed to luck out. Just happened to be in the right spot, as you say, to just avoid it, and yeah, managed to get the run on Chastity and got it done, and then made sure I got a really nice last lap, so he couldn't get back. So yeah, it worked out. Definitely not what I expected, but glad to get to rep the paint I got Henry to do. Get to rep that at the front, because it's stunner as he always does.
What's your thoughts of Sandown? The first time we've raced this track, not long had it in the service. What are your impressions on it so far? Are you enjoying it as much as we are watching racing here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will just say the F4s are just mildly different to the W12, because yeah, I kind of first thing I did when this drop was because there's a few guys in a team that does IR stuff that I actually met in ACC stuff, and they've sort of come over, and they were like, hey, because I think I was doing those hot laps around all those really short cookie car tracks, and they're like, oh, if they release Sandown and Winton, you better do the W12 first. I was like, all right, fine, say no more, I'll do it. And yeah, Winton, first car I did was the W12. Here, first car I did was the W12. So bit different to these things, but no, it works really well. Even the W12 was actually really good fun, and same in these things, really good fun. Obviously, lots of drafts, so lots of opportunities to stay with someone and have multiple goes at someone. So yeah, definitely a really good track, and one I can definitely see being very popular, especially in these kind of cars. It really suits the lower powered stuff well, those long straights to keep draft trains and battles going.
Well, congratulations on a win tonight and a P5 in race 1. Anyone you need to thank?
Yeah, I guess just the usual, all the sponsors on the car. I think Chassis 52 now. Henry's got on there, which does look very nice and very fitting to run 52 that. I do love running that with that there. And just big thanks to Henry for whipping up livery. After round 1, I got him to whip one up, and he's, as always, done an absolutely stellar job. So epic stuff from Henry. Big thanks. Big thanks to the, obviously, HGR guys in general and SRC as well. Big thanks to Ira as well for putting on, as he always does. Ozicar always runs a very tight ship, so big thanks to him for putting on such a great league as always, and big thanks to you guys for putting on a great show too.
There you have Thomas Hin's race 2 winner, and Jason, you're stood by with race 1 winner, James Chasanoff.
Yeah, they say you've only got to win, you've only got to lead one lap, and that's the last one, and that's exactly what Thomas Hinds did tonight. But everything he could throughout the course of the race was a race 1 winner and coming home in second, so potentially extending that championship lead. We welcome James Chasanoff to the commentary box.
Yeah, thanks you guys. Pretty much exactly the same thing as what you said about Thomas there, about that first race.
Yeah, it was a case of right place at the right time. We did make comment that you were sitting in third looking pretty, and it was very much a similar situation in round number 1 back at Winton, where some contacted cars in front, I wouldn't say gifted you a position, but you made yourself available at the right time and took a win there, took a win in race number 1 here tonight. So absolutely a brilliant start to your F4 championship campaign here in Ozicar. How did you find the track?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a lot different to driving the supercar, which I've probably done a lot more laps around than this. But yeah, no, it's awesome for these cars. In particular, it's not too big, but it's yeah, you get a lot of good top speed and a lot of overtaking opportunities too.
So a big field tonight. There was 45 cars on track for both race 1, race 2, and of course, we did see that traffic play a part in the day and laps as things unfolded. Was it any close calls that you can make mention, or did you manage to avoid any of that carnage and make your way through the smoke without too much drama?
Yeah, a couple of close calls avoiding incidents that were happening in front of me with the lead guys too, the lap cars. So I'm not sure exactly what sort of caused them. I just saw the aftermath. So I don't know. One guy sort of went past me. I sort of went, okay, cool, let him go. I'll just follow them for a bit and see if I can get him back later on in the race. And then, yeah, before I even get a chance, it's, yeah, a lap car makes a mistake, or, yeah, something was going on out there. So, I'd definitely say more gifted than talented for the for some of those overtakes. But yeah, I guess you got to avoid all the incidents as well.
Yeah, well, you got to be there and learn how to read the traffic, and of course, the closing speed between that top 4 or 5 drivers was quite significant to some of those cars that were battling further back in the pack. So that was what potentially caught some of the drivers out, that allowed yourself to find yourself at the pointy end of the field in the last couple of laps. I did make a comment that you might have just handed not the win, but thinking about the championship in the scheme of things in those last few laps, just didn't quite put the pressure on that you probably could have.
Yeah, no, I made a mistake. I noticed I was a bit slow coming out of the last corner. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing wrong there, but I was doing something wrong. And yeah, I was just pushing to get as absolutely close as I could to Hinsey as I physically could on those last laps, thinking, okay, I'll try and make the move right at the very end. The slipstream's so strong, and yeah, just overdrove it and made a mistake and then dropped back. So a little bit kicking myself, but not kicking myself too much, because at the end of the day, second place isn't too bad either.
Yeah, like a famous man once said, there's nothing wrong with silver.
Well, I mean, the fact that I got the win in the first one as well kind of helped it a little bit, but yeah, still in the back of my mind, I'm still, a little bit spewing that I couldn't quite at least give him a bit of a fight, because it does feel like I've gifted him a little bit, but no, he's done well, and he had to close up a gap to me as well to get that slipstream too, so yeah, he did everything right, so yeah, fair play to him. Yeah,
a little bit of sweet there for the result, but of course the championship, we go to round number 3 in 2 weeks' time, and you've extended your championship lead. So we'll go into there as a fun, but I don't want to put the jinx on you. But perfect start to the start of this Formula 4 season, and hopefully you can carry some of that speed and performance into the coming rounds.
Yeah, not too sure exactly how I've ended up where I've ended up. But yeah, try not to think about the championship too much at the moment, because it's such a long way to go. So I'm just trying to maximize the races as best I can, and essentially just avoid any incidents that happen. Because yeah, we've done 5 races now, and yeah, just basically taking it easy and not fighting too hard, and yeah, just avoiding the incidents seems to be doing the trick at the moment. So maybe later on in the championship, when everyone's a little bit up to speed with these cars, I think there's still a little bit of inexperience with a couple of drivers, myself included as well. So once we sort of get up to speed, learn each other, and learn the car more, it's probably going to be a bit more battling towards the end. So yeah, no, plenty of time to go yet.
All right, we'll let you go and celebrate. Do you want to say thanks to any of your teammates or your sponsors?
Yeah, cheers. Just want to say a huge thanks to the Banter Alliance boys and the Locked On Racing boys as well. Shout out to all our sponsors, Bay21, LGC Images, VFS, One Sport, Kathy's Pet Portraits, One Twine, CD Cinematography, and probably missing one of the Locked On ones that Brewster, that's it. And big shout out to Jason Fewens at OnlyFans and his famous helmet cam.
Love it.
Yeah, there's a bit of,
love the stitch up.
Bit of a story behind that, but we'll leave that alone for another day.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Thanks to you guys as well.
Thanks,
James.
You got stitched up big time there, Jason. Next round we head to Oran Park, so continuing the Aussie flavour. That's going to be a load of fun in these cars.
Yeah, another circuit that's no longer exists, but definitely a favourite amongst the Aussie race fans. And the F4 cars will be very well suited. Lots of heavy braking zones, again, elevation changes as you make the way up over the top of the bridge, and quite a few change of directions as well. So it'll be another interesting race. Hopefully we can have another huge field like we saw tonight. From a viewing point, makes absolutely great television, and broadcasting makes our job really easy. From a few of the drivers probably aren't looking for quite so much action on track.
100%, but next round you will be able to catch it here on Simspeed TV in 2 weeks' time, as we said, from Oran Park. So big thank you, Jason, for your help. Shout out to David Haynes on his adventure across America. He'll miss the next round, but will be back for round 4. But until next time, big thank you for watching. Big thanks again to all the supporters of Ozicar, Locked On iRacing, Sim Racing Leagues, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and a hashtag No Social Hate. Remember to check out Ozicar.net for all the series information. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time from Oran Park.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?